good, y'all? What's good, y'all? It's your boy, Mr. Von Channel Sweatbox. We back, we live, we active. That's right. I'm beating y'all up with the podcast post, which means we talking UFC. This weekend was a good weekend in the UFC. Good weekend of fights in the UFC. UFC Fight Night 10, I'm not sure what it was, on Fox Sports 1 down in Brazil. Really good night of fights. Really good night of fights. Tonight I really want to talk about the three headlining fights on that card. Starting with Edson Barboza versus Darush. Let me look up. I don't remember how to pronounce his first name. Listen, it doesn't matter. I'm not even going to look it up because he got knocked the fuck out in one of the craziest, most brutal flying knees that I've seen in UFC in a minute. Edson Barboza with another highlight reel knockout. It was a really good fight that I would have scored either way up until that flying knee that completely put Darush out. He was out. Went to sleep instantly. I watched the fight and then I went and watched the Fight Companion with Joe Rogan, Brendan Schwab, Eddie Bravo, and Brian Callen. Always very entertaining. If you've never watched the Joe Rogan Fight Companion, you really should take the time out to watch them. Yeah, they're long. It's about 3 hours long, but it's the length of the fights. But man, their conversations are always. First of all, if you've never seen a Joe Rogan podcast, what are you doing with your life? Oh my God, they're awesome. But the Fight Companions are always great, and this one was their reaction when Edson Barboza threw that knee and finished him was priceless. It was awesome. So shouts out to Edson Barboza for having another great performance. This dude's a tough kid, man. So they're talking about we might get a rematch between him and Tony Ferguson now, since we don't know what's up with Khabib. They can't rebook the Khabib-Tony Ferguson fight, even though everybody wants to see it, and even though they probably should. I can understand why they won't. They have absolutely zero confidence that Khabib is going to be able to make it to the fight, and that's tough. But shouts out to Edson Barboza for a great win. Shouts out to Shogun for a great win. A great win in a really physical fight. They went at it. Shogun went back to his shootbox days, his shooter-boxing days, and pulled out a vintage Shogun Hua performance to get the win in that fight. Finished him. I gotta look this dude's name up because I'll be doing a disservice to him if I don't look his name up. I'll be doing him a disservice. Give me 1 second. We go. Oh yeah, and another fight that I forgot was actually a really good fight. Alex Oliveira and Tim Means had a really good fight. If you remember their last fight, it ended very controversial with a no contest when Tim Means threw an illegal knee. So they had to run that back, and Tim Means got rear naked choke, got choked out by Alex Cowboy Oliveira, and what was a really good fight. That was a really good fight. Betch Correia and Betch Correia and Marion Renew fought to a draw. That was also another really good. This was a really good night of fights. Betch Correia was completely winning that fight, and then caught a kick to the face in the third, and then got dominated the entire third, which probably could have been a 10-8 round, which resulted in a draw. So yeah, that was a really good fight. And at the end of it, Betch Correia started twerking. It was very weird because she's got a fat ass booty, and anyway, we'll leave that to where it is. So the dude, Beneil Dariush is the dude who Edson Barboza knocked out. I just want to make sure I said his last name right. Gian Vellante versus Shogun Hua. Gian Vellante is the dude for that Shogun Hua was fighting. I want to make sure I got his name right. Forgive me for not knowing it off the top. But Shogun, that was a good fight. And Shogun, like I said, he went back, went deep into his bag of tricks and pulled out one more shooter box performance and finished him. Finished him with some nice strikes. Head kick, went to the body. It was a very nice performance for Shogun Hua. Very nice performance for Shogun. So shouts out to Shogun, turning back the hands of time and fighting off Father Time for at least one more fight. So that's 3 in a row for Shogun, man. 3 wins in a row for Shogun, who, even though he's only 34, 36, in fighter years, Shogun is like 70 because he has been through wars. He has been through wars. Remember all the wars he went through back in Pride. His fights when he first got to UFC. He's had some great wins, but he's also had some rough losses too. In the main event of the evening, Kelvin Gastelum versus Vitor Belfort. Kelvin looked like a monster. He completely destroyed Vitor Belfort. I mean, completely destroyed him. Knocked him out with some vicious and some precise striking. Kelvin Gastelum at 185 is a problem. Destroyed Tim Kennedy. Destroyed Vitor Belfort. This is the same Kelvin Gastelum that went to a decision, even though he lost. He went to decision with Tyron Woodley. Kelvin is a tough dude. Very tough fighter. I like Kelvin Gastelum a lot. He's a very tough fighter. After the fight, he called out Anderson Silva. He said he wants to fight Anderson in Rio de Janeiro in July or June, I believe it was. Which I'm not going to say would be which I don't think would be a terrible fight. And it's actually kind of a dangerous fight for Anderson with how Kelvin has looked at 185. And how much does Anderson have left? You know what I'm saying? How much does he have left? He has nothing left to prove. We've already said that a million times. He seems like he's really just enjoying himself in the fights nowadays, even though that fight with Brunson was not a very entertaining fight. He won. So, yeah, we'll see that. I actually wouldn't mind seeing that. A lot of people were saying they want to see Kelvin versus Yoel Romero. But I don't know if he's ready for the top 5 guys yet. I don't think Kelvin... Here's the thing. I'm not saying he couldn't beat any of those guys. I just don't think he's had 2 fights in at 185. You can't give him 2 fights and then throw him to the top 5. I don't think he should fight Weidman, Yoel, Rockhold, Jacare. He's not ready to fight any of those guys yet. I think the Anderson fight is a good fight for him. I think that's absolutely who should... Either that or maybe Derek Brunson. So, yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with either of those fights for Kelvin Gastelum. But Kelvin Gastelum looks absolutely awesome at 185. And it's going to be very interesting to see where he goes from here, who he gets next. Overall, man, it was a good night of fights. So, shouts out to Fox Sports 1 and UFC for putting on a good card. Don't you always hate? I'm not going to say hate, but I always find it astounding when the free cards on Fox, whether it be Big Fox or Fox Sports 1, are better than the pay-per-view cards. That's always astounding to me. Always astounding. So, yeah. Another good fight. Another good night of fights. Shouts out to the UFC. Let's see where we go next with some of these fighters on the card. Big nights for Kelvin Gastelum, Edson Barbosa, and Shogun Rua, who all got devastating knockout finishes. Shouts out to those guys. And as always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Keep your head on a swivel. Bow, bow. And until next time, you know how we do. Peace. 100, y'all.